Hey, what's up, everybody? Try to do this Q&A, answer these questions. Neglecting to do it for quite some time now, but we're gonna answer some of them today. We've had a good many, so we'll just get into some today. What's the first one?
What nitrous system would you recommend for a stock engine and trans?
Well, would depend on budget. So, single fogger would be your cheapest. They're right around $450 to about $550. Might even be upwards of a little bit more than that. Nitrous has been about 5 years since we played with it, but that would be your cheapest. Nitrous outlet would probably be, and nitrous outlet, NOS, and
Zex.
Nitrous Express, yeah, would probably be your best to go with. I do like Zex, but man, they mess around a lot. You know, there's a lot of Holly bought them out, so they're hit and miss. But that would be your cheapest. The budget don't really matter too much. I would go direct port injection, which I would go with any of those companies. I like the Zex one, so if you're patient and don't need it right away, like order right now and don't want to, I don't know, go to the track until April, March, go with Zex. I like their tune-up a lot better. You'll enjoy it a lot better. And you don't need no standalone to run it. Don't go over 75 shot, though.
Would you upgrade the fuel pump?
Yes, definitely, because you're running off a return system. You probably can even see it a little bit in here. This is your feed, and underneath here you got a return, and you're tapping into that return when you're doing one of these nitrous kits. I guess I should have told you you want to do a wet nitrous kit. That way there you have your fuel and everything, and you don't need no standalone management. So yeah, you want to do a fuel pump because you'll probably starve it. So you can do anything from like a 255 and up. It wouldn't matter how high you really go, but voltage does play a key. So 255 to about 340 with stock lines or wiring.
What brand would you recommend?
Brand, well, definitely AEM. I would just literally put the 340 AEM ethanol pump in it. That right there, if you want to go nitrous in the future, you're already set up to do that.
Best maintenance
Or turbo, I should say. Sorry, not nitrous. Turbo.
Sorry. Best maintenance items or tips that are overlooked?
Probably oil filter. OEM oil filter. Should always run one of those. Probably not changing your transmission fluid every 12,000 miles. Another one. Paying attention to your lower control arms, making sure all the bushings and everything are good. Probably one of the things people forget. And cheap to do. Absolutely dirt cheap to do.
Do you need a chip?
Chips don't exist. They don't even work because they're fake. No chip's going to work in this and any other car brand.
Most cost-effective way to get 200-ish horsepower?
Nitrous. Now, you could get close to, well, you could basically get spot on the 200 with the 75 shot with a dry rec port injection, which I like better because you feed each runner, where a single would just go into, say, right here and then go, because you want to do it after the math. So, or if you're a GK car, if you have a map, you still want to do it around the same spot. Chainsaw, man, that's annoying. You guys probably hear it, but I think I answered that.
What's your favorite Tiburon setup and style?
I guess the favorite setup would be this particular setup, which is just full bolt-ons, stock motor, small turbo, spool real quick, make 400 horsepower easily. You know, they go in for a junkyard for about 125 to like $500, depending where you're from. But definitely my way to go would be turbo and stock motor and bolt-ons.
What's your favorite style?
Style, I guess you might be meaning like chassis, maybe. Maybe that's what that question's asking.
I'm thinking.
And if it be chassis, I like the RD2, this particular one, or the RD and GK. Particular reason for that, I don't, probably the bug guy. I like the 4 eyes.
What got you interested in the Tiburons?
I want to build a sleeper. That's basically why I got interested in them. Studied them a little bit, and realized this engine's got a lot of capabilities and wanted to build a sleeper, so here we are. Still doing that on stock wheels.
Do you shim your oil pump?
On the OEM one, no, I don't. With the OEM gears, I haven't seen a need to. With even with this long, you can probably see it on camera. This long feed line, way too long. I did originally find the smaller one, which should be on there, but no, haven't seen a need to do it. If you was gonna rev way high, but you would need cams and etc. And I don't know why you really want to throw a bunch of money in building the top end and not build the bottom end. But we will be doing a video with the Boundary oil pump gear set, billet oil pump gear set, and we will shim the pump for the billet engine, which you could do the billet pump gears and shim the pump for, what I have set up right here, which would probably make it even last longer, the oil pressure.
What was the fastest car you beat drag racing?
Fastest car we beat in this drag racing, I don't know. Probably my friend's 5.0 turbo Mustang before he got rid of it. And it's a close call between that one and his hatch, his green hatch that he had for a little bit. I won both races, by the way. Just to clarify that.
Is it pain or gain to build a turbo, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I mean, with these cars, if you're going to build like an NA, unless you want something really unique and different, like I wouldn't even recommend it. I'm dumb enough to probably attempt one. And I really have been wanting to do one for quite some time because I think there's that's another Q&A there, but there's some potential there. But as far as turbo, it's not very hard. I mean, tracking down the manifold may be a little bit of a pain, but if you guys need manifolds, I can get you manifolds. They're a little bit high, but they're quality, and you don't have to worry about a lot of things. But the manifold's probably your hardest. But you can literally go like really cheap as far as name brand still in the used market. And standalone and everything, tune the whole 9 yards. You probably have like $3,500 in it and run like 11 seconds on stock shocks, probably. You'll definitely need to go deeper into 11s on like a setup like I have with just coilovers. I mean, really. So is it a pain to do? No, it's like any other car. It's the same shit, no different. Some people think Honda's easier because they got a chip. Well, it's not a chip. They just basically put their own, I guess, chip in it, I guess you could say. But they put their own software inside of it, and then they just rewrite everything and make it a standalone kind of, but it's almost like a piggy bank. But what we do is run standalones, which is a lot better to begin with. So with a standalone, you can do this cheap and not be a pain at all. A little knowledge. Kind of long-winded, but I think I got that answer.
Mm-hmm. What parts do you have to swap out to turbo?
A lot of stuff. Injectors. You would need a fuel pressure regulator. You need to get rid of this style clutch and get a hold of Atelier HP and do a push conversion. So, I mean, that would be one thing you'd have to do, and upgrade your clutch. Spark plugs. You gotta get the right colder set spark plugs. You gotta change the manifold. into this, you know, obviously put a turbo on it. You got to put a wastegate in it. You got to have a way to control it, like as far as a boost, way to control boost, which we do manually. You could do it cheap like that. Standalone, so you're getting rid of the stock ECU. There's fuel pump. There's a lot of stuff. You got to have a blow-off valve and put an intercooler in the front of it and run all your piping. You got to change a lot of stuff up, but really with a little bit of knowledge, it's not much. It's a lot, but it's not much. If you have any kind of mechanical skill whatsoever, it'll be easy task to take on.
Mm-hmm. How much horsepower does it actually have?
Well, we served the dyno and it made 410, and that's what it makes. On that video, I think we did only go to about 27 pounds or so. When we do go to the track or do a street race, depends who it is, or if we can get it to hook, we'll run around 30, 31 pounds of boost. And how much is that? Well, that's 3 to 4 more pounds than 410. I'd say roughly with the back housing of this, it's probably only making 425 at the tops, I would say. I don't think it makes a little bit over that at all. I don't think so. I think 425 horsepower, and you set your car up like this, you'll run 10.9 like me in my elevation. If you live in anywhere below like South Carolina and below, you're going to run way faster than me. Your elevation's way lower, way lower.
Okay, this next one has a couple parts to it.
All right.
What did you torque the upgraded head studs to?
Well, the M10s, which are the BMW studs, is what we upgraded to. We still kept the Toyota 22R stud, but the M10s we ended up going to 75, and then we went 90 on we stayed 90 on the M12s. Yeah, that's what we did with those, and they seem to be good.
Next part of that was any issues with them yet?
No, this is the first time since we built the car that we haven't had a head gasket issue.
Right.
We've dealt with 2 to 3 head gaskets a year, and we have had none. I mean, this is January, so we made it 1 year with no head gasket failure. It's still good to go. I like to take this motor and pull it and put it in the silver one and get this one built.
One last part to that. Is it possible to install the studs without pulling the head?
Not with the upgraded BMW studs. The reason being is you have to actually flip these upside down. When I was talking to ARP, they said that's perfectly fine. Wouldn't take no tensile strength away from it. The reason why we got to do that is our block is 1.25 thread pitch, and if you would want to put these in the way you're wanting to do it with the head still in the car, you would need to have the Allen head up top so you can screw it down in, and you can't do that because they're flipped upside down. So it doesn't take no strength away from them, but that was the only way we could get a upgraded head stud. I do want to look into L19s, which would be the better yet. If I could find an L19 stud with a 1.25 thread pitch and the same length that we have, which is like 4.5, I think is what it is, guys. Or we could even probably go 4 3/4, probably, to be honest with you. There's a good bit of room in there. But yeah, to answer your question, no, you can't do it. With the normal head studs, depending on what your power is, and you're starting with a clean surface, a really clean surface, they should be able to hold a lot of power, more than what I'm making. I think a lot of mine has to do with the torque that I was making. So if you want to run the other ones, you could keep the head in the car because you can actually run the Allen heads down in them, and you would be starting with a clean surface as long as your head's not been warped. A lot of guys have success doing it that way. I personally, you want to know my recommendation? Would I do it that way? No, never. Pull the head and clean everything. Have the head surfaced and check your block and clean it and do it that way. That's the proper way to do it. The other way is just cheaping out, in my opinion.
How much horsepower will a stock transmission hold, and for how long?
I mean, we've seen them in other cars higher than mine, like 450, 480. But they don't ever last. I mean, mine, I would use mine as the perfect example. With the small housing, we make a lot of torque. So we had bigger housing, we'd probably make a little less torque, and we could probably less shock the trans. But my setup, I think, is perfect. In my opinion, if you wanted to mock this setup, this would be the best setup to run. The street drive and track race and drag race. But what was the question? Why did I forget that? Sorry,
How much horsepower will the stock trans hold?
Oh,
And for how long?
this setup here, like I said, is probably the best example of it. And around 400, running 400 is where you want to be at. Daily driving, try to keep it right around 350, beating the shit out of it every day. But yeah, I mean, you might replace one trans a year. If you don't beat on it like I do, like if you don't race like I do, it'll probably last you a couple years, guys, to be honest with you, on 400 horsepower. Now, don't think I beat the crap out of it all the time. We cruise it and drive slow in it and drive it like a normal car, probably 80% of the time, because we put a lot of miles on it. But we track race it, though, so we beat the hell out of it there.
She's fun. What do you recommend for a budget standalone?
Mega Squirt. MS1 is what I run. It's slow as heck, guys. I wouldn't even go that route. Just go MS2, MS3. I don't have a bass tune for MS2. Don't know if anybody else does. I do have a bass tune for MS1 and MS3. But that would be the way I go. I do have a friend that runs Fuel Tech. That would be another way to go. Fuel Tech 450 is really cheap. And like, you got a dash and everything with it. And it's really easy, user friendly. I mean, that would be the way to go. And Fuel Tech is very popular. Like, I don't think you'll have as far as tuning problems, I think you'll be able to find a Fuel Tech tuner probably sooner than you can a Mega Squirt tuner. So make sure you search what's in your area of what the tuners want to tune. So otherwise, you're stuck with something that can't even be tuned.
This is a good one. Is a Kaz LSD worth the money?
Oh, hell yeah. Every penny of it.
Definitely.
Kaz LSD all the way. Quaife, and it's like a stock Honda LSD, man. It's not aggressive. It's not going to do anything for you. This is, if you're serious about drag racing, get this. If you're just a person who wants to run around town and go to car meets and stuff, get the Quaife. If you're serious about racing, get the Kaz LSD and get the SQ. Get the strongest one. No break-in period, and we haven't broke the diff yet. I mean, and I should mention this stock beta diff is over 300 horsepower. Just pray it's not going to break at the track on slicks.
Where can I find an air ram?
Oh, an air ram. Good Lord. These things are becoming non-existent, even in Korea. Used market is the only way you're going to find it. Facebook, forums are still somewhat active here and there. Getting to know people in the community. And every car that you see that has one on it, just try to buy it and offer good money. I mean, if you want to buy one, and the only way you'll probably get someone that really want to sell it is if you offer between $900 and like $1,300. I know it's outrageous, but
They're expensive.
as you can do it, it's the only way you can do it. But we do have Gato
Yeah.
Gato Racing does make a manifold for us. It don't have all the vacuum ports on it or the idle controls, so you'll have to do some modifications. It's strictly basically race, but there's a billet and semi-billet out there.
Pump E85 or regular pump gas?
Well, pump E85 all the way. 93 octane just sucks. That's all we get around here. I know some parts of the country, 91, 92. Over in Europe and Australia and places like that, it goes anywhere from like 96 to like 101, I think, or 103 even upwards. So you guys could possibly play around with that pump gas a little bit and be fine with making the goals of 400 horsepower in a stock engine, or definitely 3. But I still wouldn't do it. The reason why is the E85 cools so much better, keeps the engine nice and clean, cylinder wall temperature way lower, and it'll perform with 116 octane, and it's $2.25 a gallon from where I'm at. Sometimes cheaper, but I live in Pennsylvania, so the gas tax is high.
Real high. How much horsepower can you make on stock fuel lines?
Well, we make estimated 425, but we made 410 on the dyno. I keep saying 400, but I mean it's only 10 more horsepower, but 410 easily. I mean, it's stock 6A in line, and we got a 6A in return too. So I mean, you can flow a lot on that with 1,000cc injectors. Seems to, I'm not maxed out. A lot of people say I should be, but they're not maxed out. These injectors flow pretty good. I think they actually flow like 1,200 or 1,150. I think it's like 1,150, but they're supposed to be 1,000cc. But they outperform what they're supposed to do. I just had them recently. This year, yeah, that's right. This year, I had him taking out the Eric Dirt. Yeah, great guy. You ever need your injectors clean?
Do I need to run a boost reference fuel regulator?
Yep, I don't know if you can see it on the camera,
Yeah.
but you need to run that. You need to run one. The stock fuel pressure regulator is good. It's about 200 horsepower, and then it gets it's finicky. Just get this, and then you get the one-to-one. Buy the one with one-to-one adjustment. So every 1 psi it sees, it's going to add 1 pound of fuel. And depending on your goal, you got to look at how much pressure these can get to. Like this model here, I'm going to have to swap out. And I keep forgetting about this before I make my peg. I want to make some power this year. This one only goes, I think, like 80 psi. Fuel pressure, we're allowed to have way over that in the 700, 800 horsepower setup. So we'll have to change this out. And don't cheap out on these. A lot of people buy Chinese ones. Just buy the good shit, guys. Just do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
But yes, you need one.
That was the last question.
Yep, that was it. So that's what we answered this time. We have some more left over. But if you guys want to ask any more questions, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. Hopefully this answers some of your questions. And hopefully you guys didn't get too bored. We could get into a lot more stuff, and I think this is the best way to answer everyone's questions instead of the comment section, because this might even be a question someone else wants to know, but just don't really feel like answering it. Some people get embarrassed even. They ask a question, and sometimes their questions get answered this way. What are you doing, Luna? My Rottweiler, being bad, eating grass. I don't know why she's eating grass, because she's not even sick. But, okay, guys, Happy New Year. Be safe out there.